Good evening, dear viewers of Mind Academy's YouTube channel, watching Prime Time hour from Mind Academy, Mind Race, lighting up the world. Welcome to all the viewers from different parts of the world at 6:30 Saudi time, 9 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Here we are back once again to join you with yet another interesting and insightful discussion to light up the world. So I welcome Murli Krishnan sir, founder director of Mind Academy, to join us with today's Mind Race session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Bala. Good evening and good evening to all the viewers of Mind Academy channel across the globe.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Now, today, what is that we are going to discuss? There is an global phenomenon which is setting down. And if we feel that we are immune to this phenomenon, I beg your pardon, we aren't. So now, what is that phenomenon which is taking place up? There is a global shakedown which is happening across the major banking system, starting from US till different parts of the globe. Now, how are we connected to this? This is an ecosystem. Now, let me start with an anecdote of my own personal stuff. Back in grade 9, we were given with a particular task by our late principal, Srimati Prema Prakasam. Once that assignment was completed by 7 of us, each and every one were rewarded with 50 Indian rupees. My first ever remuneration for an honorable work we did as a team. Now, what was more important is the message which she delivered. She said, getting some remuneration is not so important. What is important is it could be so little like 50 Indian rupees, or it could be 5 million Indian rupees. But what is more important is how you're going to work with what you have in hand. As a grade 9er, that was a mind opener. It could be just 50 Indian rupees. If she did not pass on that message, we could have just went ahead, spent it like just another teenager. But her message opened up the eyes of all our team members. So that is what we are going to ponder upon today. As youngsters, as an ecosystem, where and when we are going to engage with the Gen Z, what and how crucial it is to work upon the financial knowledge and the literacy rate of the next gen. So walk us through once again. We have Mind Academy's founder director, Sri Murli Krishnan sir. So now let's start and begin the process. So why and how it is important to have financial literacy for children or the next generation? Why do you feel it is so critical, sir?
Thank you, Bala, once again for this question. Indeed, financial literacy is very critical because, as we all know, knowledge is power, right? And this holds good for financial knowledge or financial literacy as well. It's a power. When you cross like 35 or 40 at this age, we all feel that we should be financially free, we should be financially independent, so that we could do whatever we want in life without looking for a specific salary from a specific company. So it's all the more important that financial literacy is something which we have neglected, especially when it comes to school education, when we are children, and there is no focus towards how we should be handling our finances. In fact, if you really look the current education system or your degrees or whatever it is, at the end it all boils down to a particular career that you are entering in. And what are we expecting? We are expecting money to come as a salary or whatever job you may enter into. But at the end, are we really capable, or are we really helping the Generation Z, as you rightly mentioned, giving them the knowledge to handle money? I would say no, we are not giving enough knowledge to them. So it's important that our education systems and even parents take care of this part when it comes to financial literacy towards children. Thing is that there are so many things that we can achieve if we start at a very young age. So giving this education at a very young age is key. Unfortunately, when we were young, we never had that opportunity of understanding how important it is. We just kept moving, and then somehow during the course of time, we learned things. But if it was done in a much younger age, I'm sure that we could have done better. Our confidence level would have grown much higher even at a younger age. We could all have had good habits with respect to finance when it comes to leading a debt-free life or entering into a debt cycle. So these things are very important. As I always say, to me, there are three sides which we should consider the most important when it comes to our life is health. I've told it many times: health, time, and money. So money is one key part. But unfortunately, when we do a particular task or when we enter into a particular task, we all set a goal. But in case of money, I haven't seen anyone setting a goal. Yeah, this is what I need, or this is what I'm aspiring for. So financial literacy, when provided the right age, can help children understand or have them, have a better clarity about what their journey is all about. And based on that, they'll be able to live their life with more confidence, because financial freedom or financial what do you call as we say, financial freedom is something which is very key for all of us, especially children, as they move forward in their life.
Very insightful point, sir. There were a lot of important words which, if looked at an overview, it is just words, but it is a lifelong practice. The key words like financial freedom, good habits in finance, these are all for just passerbys. It is just a word, but one must have to have great understanding to feel the gravity behind those words which you are bringing onto the table, sir. As you were expressing, there was a very interesting presentation of Robert Kiyosaki, the famous author of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, where he says, if financial orientation is not available for children, as you rightly said, it leads to bad habits. During your previous answer, sir, it was fascinating to understand the same coinage, habits. So how can lack of financial informations and insights for children can lead them into bad habits and eventually into an uncomfortable situation with respect to finance, sir? So if you can just shed some light on it, it will be helpful, sir.
Sure, Bala. It is not only in terms of finance. Anything, if you don't have enough knowledge, if you don't have enough literacy, you may end up enter into bad habits with respect to that particular, aspect. And this holds good when it comes to financial aspect as well. But when it comes to financial aspect, I would say the impact is more when compared to other aspects, because one, as we all know, people many a times we all live for money, whether we like it or not. That's a fact. And there are many institutions like banks and all who provide credit cards, who provide loans based on EMI and those things. And when things are easily available without even looking ahead and without even knowing how much I can repay, we all tend to end up taking those monies which are easily available, then struggle to repay those kind of things. So having financial literacy and having a good habit in terms of managing finances, it's quite important. Like many times we have seen that people, even grown-ups, when it comes to emergency fund, they don't have any awareness about emergency fund. They don't have awareness about taking loans without even considering how much they can repay. Even the spending habits, many times we lack a clarity about what needs and wants are. So there is a lack of clarity, and we end up buying more and more things which is really not required for us. As I remember somebody saying, the rich person is one who is not having a lot of money, but who is having lesser, needs. So, or maybe you can call it lesser wants. So that when that is the case, then it's important that we have this financial literacy for the next gen, so that children can have that flair about what good habits are and what bad habits are in terms of finance. So without financial literacy, it's not only financial literacy, not only about finance, but for any aspect. If you are not knowledgeable enough, then you may end up having bad habits. So when it comes to finance, it's about debt cycles, it's about using a lot of credit cards, it's about spending more, because if you tend to use or buy items with your cash, you will stop when the cash is over.
Running
But
off, correct.
the current scenario is in such a way that there are institutions around you who will be giving you money for free. You think that
Agreed.
it's free, but once you start using it, it becomes a habit.
Agree, sir.
So whether you are capable enough or not, it elevates your what you call living standard, if that is what we call it as standard in terms of spending money. But at a certain point, you will figure out that no, I'm not capable enough to repay that. So that is the cycle that you will end up if you are not enough educated in terms of handling finance.
Very interesting point, sir. As you rightly said, if I buy something which is not from my money, then I have to go behind that race. I always then tend to be in that catching up cycle, which keeps me in the loop, and eventually I'll not be in a position to be financially free. So that makes a lot of sense, sir, as an insightful point from finance. Now, one interesting element which I found during your explanation for the habits part was this interesting coinage for this needs and wants. Now, as you rightly said, we have enough institutions around us to push us into a situation where technically there is no bridge between these two terms. But how do you feel, or as an importance for every individual, especially children, to understand the difference between the two important facets of life, the needs and the wants? So once if this is clarified, so I think you will be going to simplify the process of finance and this financial literacy for the children, I believe, sir, because that was a very interesting aspect when you shared, sir. So if you can shed more insights into that particular term, it will be helpful, sir.
Yeah, sure, Bala. Actually, even though we talk a lot about our drawbacks in terms of financial education in school, one thing for sure that we all learn from very basic, from kindergarten or maybe grade 1 or 2, that 3 basic necessities of life or 3 basic needs of life: food, clothing, and shelter. We all know this. Okay.
True.
Anything beyond this is all wants. But many a times what happens is we tend to explain this in a way that people understand this, especially the children. So a clear-cut demarcation of what our needs are and what our wants are helps them, or helps the children, or helps the next generation to understand where we should invest our money or where should spend our money. So basically it is food, clothing, and our home or shelter. So if you want to have some kind of traveling, going for a tour, having a nice candy, or having nice toys, all these are wants, which we can park and have it when we have enough money. So understanding of basic needs and wants is quite important when it comes to financial literacy. And it's also important that as parents, teach them, understand. It's just in one line that I said, basic food, clothing, and shelter. But yeah, we can have different demarcations when it comes to these needs and wants. And having a regular conversation, having a regular dialogue around these things at home will really help them understand what is that we really want to buy, and what is that we need to park aside. Maybe we'll buy it after some time based on the surplus amount that we have, or something like that. Classic example that I've noticed is like, when you go to like supermarkets and all. Even I've heard that there are different racks in supermarkets, right? They tend to arrange things in a way that our regular needs, like, you go and buy rice, you go and take milk. These are all our daily requirements. These things are arranged in such a way that you travel all the way towards the end of the department store to get it, or supermarket to get it. And on the way towards these racks, you will find all the the wants, the
Wants.
material, all the wants item. And this is how people, track you or trick you to get into these things and get the unwanted things that you really need. So it's important that we understand what our needs are and then try to park aside what the wants, the materials that fall under wants category.
Got it, sir. So indeed, this categorization is very critical. And as you rightly said, sir, it is this distraction aspect which is the challenge when it comes to the financial aspect of it, to understand and to work only on the need part and not to stress ourselves with the wants part. Because as you rightly said, if you keep spending on the wants part till you reach your rice bag or your milk can, and if you keep spending on the intermediaries, by the time you reach to your milk can or your rice can, probably you are running short of your wallet. So that's a very well put forward explanation, sir. I think that will be helping the children for sure to understand in a very simplistic way. Now, just sticking on to the same point, sir, in a world where we are having lot of such distraction till we reach to our rice bag or the milk can, how are we going to focus? Not only this is for the children, even for grown-ups, saving aspect of it, for which although we are having viewers from different ethnicities and different nationalities, when it comes to India, India is known to be an saving mindset driven cultural people. Now, there is a study from different financial groups in India across the globe is coming out with the fact that this saving culture is getting slightly eroded, as you rightly said, because of various institutions who try and help you to have more and more of this wants aspect of it. So amidst this distraction, how do you suggest could be a good practice the next generation children can have with respect to this approach called penny saved is what penny earned? So what are your suggestions and recommendations when it comes to the next generation, sir?
Yeah, Bala, again, yeah, it's a wonderful concept that you have put forward with respect to saving. And again, what I would like to say is at home or as part of education, we all have learned about, the effect of compounding, right?
Yes,
But
sir.
I don't think that we have learned it in the right way. If we are able, we understood this concept in a very complex way. And then you really realized it at a very later stage that how powerful compounding is.
Agreed, sir.
So if you are able to, make the next generation do these kind of things, like for example, putting forward example of like let's say you have 1 rupee today, and ask them to calculate how much it will be like 30 years down the line or 40 years down the line and see the difference. Now, I've seen it personally when I did this with my son a couple of maybe some years back. He realizing himself that how important and how much this number can grow when the compounding effect comes into place. So we always feel like, when you feel something, it will always remain within. So if someone has gone through this and understood how big this number can be, even if you save a single rupee or a single penny, like after 40 years or 30 years, now when you feel it, you really try to, it's like there are different ways of taking information inside. Like you can hear, you can, read. But when you really feel it, when you calculate it, you really find that how big that number is. That makes a lot of difference. So when we can have like activities or games designed around these concepts, these mathematical concepts, these financial concepts for children, so that they will be able to understand how big this is. Rather than, many times we have said compounding is a big thing, it is a magic of compounding, all those nice words we have seen. But are we able to make them feel that magic of compounding? If that can be done, I think, as you rightly said, like, every penny saved is a, like a penny invested. So this concept, if you are able to make them feel by making them really do this, it could be like a games, or maybe as rightly mentioned in your example, in case of your teacher, giving you money and make them handle money and see how, give them money and, try to create or inculcate a saving culture. So that could make a lot of difference. So all these things has to be started at a younger age. So finance is also one part or one major part that we need to handle right from a young age, because at the end it's all, we are all, what are we all running for? Whatever you
True,
say,
sir.
big career or even at education. When you do education, I am sure 99% of us, we do education to get a good job, right? It's
Agree, sir.
yeah, of course there is learning process, but what is that end result that we all aim for? We aim for money. But when
True.
we aim for money, how good are we in handling that? So we should be equipping, or we should be able to equip our next generation in a way that they can handle it well. That is point number one. And also I would like to add the other part of it as well. Again, what is the goal? Where are you heading towards? How much you need? So it's a good balance mix of what you need and how can you maximize it with very minimum effort. That's where what exactly you said, when a penny saved is penny invested kind of thing.
Got it, sir. Very true. And I guess it is going to help the next gen, sir, because as you rightly said, the amount of compounding concept, if it is understood by practice, it could be through games or it could be real life simulation with small amount of money, with parents guiding the students, or maybe as an education institution, teachers or academies, training them up to work on money. So money should not be a taboo subject. It has to be part of the process of their learning curve. Very well put forward, sir. And exactly that is where your later part of your answer, where you summed up, it's money to which we all are looking forward as individuals during our educational phase of life. Now, and as you rightly said, sir, at some stage, we come to one conclusion that how much we need, we are not in some clarity. And that leads us to be in a kind of infinite loop in an programming language, if it has to be put forward. Now, that brings me to the next question, sir. As the famous song in the film Italian Job says, money is just a gas. So it is just a fuel in life. But if we have the right approach and right understanding, as you rightly said at the first question, where you said financial freedom is very important for every individual. If you don't understand the word financial freedom, and if we keep running behind the gas, probably we lose the opportunity to live and being financially free. So if you can shed more lights into this prism, sir, it will be an enlightening one for the next generation students and as well as the parents, sir.
Yeah, Bala, this question reminds me of a very favorite ad that I've seen long back. I think it was a MasterCard advertisement where they say, money can't buy happiness, but for everything else, there is MasterCard. Something like that goes. So that is true. When you have that analogy with respect to money as gas, it's as our life is kind of a journey, as you rightly mentioned, and we need that vehicle to take us forward for the journey. Okay. To have that travel, to move forward, we need fuel, we need gas in our petrol tank, in our gasoline tank. But that's not life. Life is what? Life is the journey. Experiencing the journey is what life all about. So money is required to fill the tank. Yeah, we need money for that. But then, if your tank's capacity is 70 liter, you cannot have 75 liters or 80 liters. Yes, of course, you need to run that 70 liters, drop it down a bit, then you can fill the next round of, gasoline. But what is important in life is enjoying the journey. So that is why, it's not, life is not all about filling fuel. True, yeah, sir. We need that fuel to take that journey, to move forward in life, to experience the scenery around, to experience the life around, to experience the journey itself. That is what life is all about. So if we can consider money as a fuel, that is the right balance that we should all be looking forward for. It is just a fuel. Yeah. Do you need that fuel? Yes, you need that fuel. You need that fuel for your journey. But don't worry too much about how much fuel you have. Enjoy the journey. It's not about looking at your, fuel signal and see that it's going to, it's depleting every moment. It will deplete, but it's not the, the what do you call the thought of fuel getting depleted that you should be worried about. What you should be worried about, or what should be experiencing, is the journey. Many times the problem is, since we don't have, or many of us, since they don't have financial literacy, they are not even in charge of understanding how big their fuel tank is. That goal itself is not there. So
Understood,
if
sir.
you are clear about the goal, that is where financial freedom lies in. That is where financial freedom comes from. That is when you will be able to enjoy the journey rather than worrying too much about our fuel tank. So it's like this. It's a balance in life again. We should also
Understood, sir.
give a fair enough importance to the money part of it, but not beyond that. So the message here is, it's not the fuel, but the journey that matters. Yeah, but the fuel is important as well.
Excellent points, sir. You have kept it super simple. Now, I was just trying to visualize whatever you have put forward, imagining myself as a driver who keep looking at my fuel tank and driving. It is leading for disaster rather than looking at the beautiful sceneries which we are traveling through. And I think this is applicable for every child who's listening to this podcast here. What is that we are trying to visualize? Look into your fuel tank. As Murli sir was telling, it is just a fuel. Of course, without the fuel, the vehicle will not move. But if we are looking into just the fuel tank and the fuel indicator, how much we have consumed, we are not going forward. If we have to light up the world, we need fuel. But the point is, fuel is just not sufficient enough to have an successful and to have an satisfied, contented, and memorable journey called life. Very well put forward, sir. And amidst a kind of a shaky whole system when it comes to finance, I think this insights, what you have shared, I think is going to bring in a lot of eye openers, just like how Srimati Prema Prakasam brought into those 7 boys there, because it is a whole different world. It is just a fuel tank. But this fuel tank should also be kept under control with some good habits and good practices, so that we understand what is need and what is just wants. So once if children and also with parents do some practice cautiously through some games, real life simulation, and academies across the world who are associated with children, if they start employing these practices, habits, I'm sure whatever happens in the ecosystem of finance should help us give a shield which is going to protect us and keep us in the long journey in a financially free points. Very insightful and thought-provoking points and insights you have shared as part of our lighting up process for the world, sir.
Thank you very much, Bala. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, and very important aspect of life is what we discussed. And as we promised at our inaugural discussion for Mind Race, this is what we are going to bring in. It is the various facets of life which has to be cautiously and continuously dialogued, deliberated, and discussed. Because we believe in Mind Academy, through Mind Race, we are trying to light up the world through these dialogues where the finest aspects of life, today it was finance, last week it was the exams, but it has to be done in a continuous and religious way. Because through this process, for sure, not only we can light up the world, but also we as individuals can keep moving in the right direction. So once again, thank you, Murali Krishnan, sir.
Thank you, Bala, once again, and thanks to all the viewers who are watching our channel right across the globe. Thanks once again.
Thank you, sir. So once again, thanks to all the viewers who keep supporting us, keep encouraging us by liking, subscribing, and sharing comments, so that we also can work upon it and come back with a better discussion in next week Mind Race. Till that time, we fall back with yet another thought-provoking and lighting up the world approach in Mind Race. It's we, Team Mind, signing off for today's and this week's episode in Mind Race. Take care, stay safe.